Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now in today's video it is going to be another highlight pretty much over the last couple of days, mainly from last night, and I wasn't going to include this in the video, but then I thought this would be just a nice little intro because it was something that kind of got express delivered to me. I wasn't looking for teal and a level 3 flew straight over the top of my head, so I decided that that would make a pretty decent intro. Now, there is going to be a couple of shots in this video that I am less than proud of on a albino red deer and a melanistic axis deer, as I was trying to get them with iron sights and I failed miserably. I still got them down, and thankfully they were not diamonds, so it was okay that they kind of got a bit messed up. I wasn't originally going to include them, but I thought that I would include it just to show that not every shot I make is perfect, because I think sometimes with these videos it can come across that every shot I make isn't actually a good shot, but it happens and stuff goes wrong sometimes, so I thought that I would include those a little bit later on. But one of the first things I wanted to show off was here on Parque Fernando again, I spotted a level 5 axis deer. Now, as you know, if you have been watching some of my previous videos, is I am challenging myself to get diamonds in ways I've never got diamonds before. And something I have never done was shoot a diamond with the 243 with iron sights. So I decided that this axis deer would be a perfect trial for that. Seeing as axis deer are not the rarest diamonds, I already had 2 on this account, plus I have several on my Xbox account. I just thought that this would be a pretty good test, and I was pretty hopeful that I could actually get close enough to him to make a fairly decent shot. Now that definitely has to be the coolest way I've ever downed such an awesome diamond axis deer, and it made such a nice picture with my hunting dog sat beside him, and it was actually a really decent size one and a perfect shot with the iron sights, which I was really proud of, because it is a slightly smaller animal and it is a smaller caliber weapon, and so I was nervous with using its iron sights because they're not my favourite iron sights either, and now the axis deer are a bit bigger, I thought that this would probably be something a bit better to try the 243 on, rather than trying it on a diamond warthog like I was planning to do last video. But something I noticed that was really weird with this axis deer was the fact that its antlers weren't sitting quite right on the head, and I have noticed this since the most recent update, that there's a couple of these sort of examples, and it is a bit odd, and I hope that it will be fixed soon. He looks fine in the lodge. I didn't really pay too much attention, but he looks alright up on the wall where you can't really see it. But it just looks a bit odd in the harvest screen with them being not sat on the head correctly at all. They are far too far back. But I was just really pleased to have a smaller species of game with a smaller caliber down with the iron sights. I then decided to try some Medved servers, and I actually managed to get into one that had a decent little leucistic female reindeer. Now, again, I thought this would be a pretty perfect opportunity to try with more iron sights, because it is a female, and if something goes wrong, you can't really, it's not really messing it up. If something goes wrong, you don't lose anything, you don't lose the medal or anything like that, so I thought it would just be worth a try. And I really do like the rare reindeer. The reindeer are one of my favourite species in the game. If you don't know me, anything that has antlers I am always particularly drawn to. I love antlers, and so reindeer, with having these massive racks that they do when they reach level 5, they do kind of have a special place in my heart in this game. So when I see a rare, I always get kind of excited, even though reindeer rares are notably not the rarest rares in the game. This is my second leucistic on this account. The other one was a level 3 male, but I just really like seeing them, and I thought it would be a really decent test of these iron sights. So I actually got pretty lucky on that shot and actually did hit liver. I was a bit far back with that shot. Had I been a couple of inches further forward, it would have been a lung shot. But it clipped the liver, so it still got vital organ. But obviously, because it is a female, it only made bronze. I then ended up back on a Parque Fernando server and spotted across the lake just as it was getting dark an albino red deer hind. Now, I really wanted a rare red deer hind to go in a multi-mount with one of the uneven red deer stag diamonds that I have in the entrance of my lodge, because I have the pair of diamonds that both have one antler that is significantly smaller than the other, and so I wanted them to have a rare female next to them as well, just to sort of add to the oddity of the mounts. And this was basically an ideal contender to go in one of those multi-mounts. Now, when I made this shot, I was kind of confident that I was gonna be okay with it, and I wasn't. This was one of the ones that I did make not a good shot on, even though I do end up hitting her twice, because I was closer than the zeroing distance. I ended up hitting her a bit high, and you'll see that in the harvest screen. And as I said, I wasn't going to include these two that got messed up a little bit, but seeing as it was a female and a very small male, I thought I would show them and just show that I make bad shots and it does happen. Because when I make a bad shot, I do kind of beat myself up about it and feel really kind of bad because I don't like to make mistakes. I don't like to do things wrong. And when I hit her twice, I thought, well, at least one of those shots had to have been good. But sadly, neither of them were, and she ran off, and she did die from them. But I did actually get to use the dog to track her, and that's something else as well. Is the dogs have been fixed from what I can tell that they don't do the slow mo tracking anymore, and so I have got Hubert back out in some of these clips. But there is a new thing that if you shoot an animal and it goes out of your render, that the animal does become invisible. So be mindful of that. But as you can see there, both shots landed high and actually hit her in the spine, which was a shame. But as I said, it is a female, so there's no score for her anyway. So it's not too bad that it ended up being a bit messed up. It just meant a bit of extra tracking, and with that, them going out of render and then becoming invisible, it did make that a bit tense when I wasn't sure if she'd gone out of render. But I was really pleased to actually have her down. And then I went to check one of my favourite axis deer locations, and I spotted something I have been looking for the longest time, a melanistic axis deer. I have been looking for rare axis deer since they got their true racks, because I love the look of the rare axis deer. I'm still looking for an albino, but finally I'd found a melanistic, and sadly he was a small one, considering there was a couple of really nice fours in that group. He was just a level 3, so I knew he wasn't going to be that big, and that if I made a bad shot on him, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. So I wanted to kind of try it again and put a shot on it a bit from a bit of a further distance than what I was kind of comfortable with. And that ended up backfiring, as I said a bit earlier. The same with the red deer. I do end up making a couple of poor shots, pretty much the same on this guy, although they were kind of just more unlucky than poor at one point as well, I feel, because I feel like I just got very unlucky with one of the shots in particular, which you'll see with the harvest screen. But it was a shame that I lost a little bit of his score, but I'm just pleased to have a melanistic axis deer down, and I'm not too disappointed considering he was only a very small one as well. So after waiting for him to come back and then checking the map and seeing some hunting pressure, I knew that he had died and I wasn't going to get another shot into him. And so I sent my dog off tracking on the blood, and he actually hadn't gone too far. He'd sort of done the thing where he'd run off and then started to come back again. So it was a nice little track for the dog, considering that I haven't been able to use Hubert for a while because of the level 15 bug, because he was stuck at sort of halfway through level 15. He has gone back to the start of level 15 now, so I'll be very interested to level him up all the way now and see how that turns out. But he did a fantastic job, as he always does, at tracking. He is so quick, and I'm still so impressed with how well the bloodhounds actually work. So it ended up being basically a nice little track for him on a animal that I actually really wanted. So that was nice, and then of course giving him praise because he'd done a good job and he'd found what I was looking for. I have found that radial sometimes with the controller is a bit difficult to get it to actually accept what you're wanting it to do. So sometimes you may see me go in the radial more than once. And I love the look of these Axis deer rares. I think they look so cool. And so I made sure to sort of line up and get a nice background on him. But here you can see what actually happened with those shots. So that first one went sort of past it and clipped it in the back leg, and the second shot hit it in the ear, and that just killed the penetration. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, I was a bit off, and then the ear got in the way. Had his ear not got in the way, I think that second shot would have been better and possibly have got into a lung. And had I been just a little bit more sort of into the animal as opposed to off to the side with that first shot, I think that would have been a decent shot as well. So it was kind of a bit of a oof and a little bit of a shame. But that second shot clipping the ear, it was almost funny that the ear had got in the way. But he would have only just been a silver anyway, so actually the fact that he is just a bronze now, it doesn't matter too much. Like I said, it's not like he was going to be a gold anyway. He was a very small buck, so it was just like, I'm just glad to have a melanistic axis deer down and one that's going to look actually decent in the lodge. So once again, I was on a Rohonga multiplayer and came down to the Warthog zone that I have talked about in another video, and I spotted a level 5, and as I was spotting him, that Cape Buffalo decided that she wanted to go aggressive, so I had to deal with her first. And then I ended up getting charged by a warthog, and just several things went kind of wrong. But I actually managed to redeem myself on those shots from the red deer and the axis deer, and also from last video when I ended up getting chased out of this exact location with a level 5 warthog by another player. I actually ended up managing to take this warthog with the 243 with the iron sights, which is exactly what I was trying to do last video until another player chased me out of here. And it ended up just being the coolest thing I've done in quite a while, because it is such a small target, and I was nervous after that incident with the axis. And yeah, there we go. He actually goes aggressive and decides to charge, which is one of the cool things with the Warthog. I really think that they're funny with the fact that they go aggressive being one of the smallest animals actually in the game. And then this female got quite angry that I'd shot the male, so I actually had to deal with her as well. So that was just added to how cool that actually was. And he actually ended up being a little bit bigger than the level 5 Warthog that I got chased away from and actually ended up having to shoot with the scope. So it ended up working out for the best, and I'm just really pleased that I finally managed to do what I wanted to do and take a Diamond Warthog with the 243 with iron sights. So I was just really thrilled with that. And also the female then charging and the fact that he went aggressive, I just thought that was so cool. I thought that just added so much to the whole experience. I was so pleased. Later on in the evening, sort of as I was finishing up, basically hunting for the night on multiplayers, I spotted something white gleaming in the distance, and I spotted it thinking it was actually a leucistic pronghorn, and then noticed it was a mule deer. And so to start off with, I was like, oh, is that just a dilute? But no, it was bright white, and I could see through the scope that that was an albino. As I said, it was getting pretty late, and I didn't really have the time to actually try and sneak in and get him with the iron sight, so I decided to just take him with the 6.5 with the scope and just basically get him down as quickly as possible because it was getting late and I just wanted him down. And it's just such a cool rare to find. There was no way I was leaving it, and I was really, really pleased. And because I'd messed up those other two rares, I was just a little bit. I was feeling a little bit underconfident, even though I'd made the shot with the warthog. I was just feeling a little bit underconfident. I am gonna try and use the iron sights again, but I just wanted to get this guy down, and I was really pleased because it's actually a nice looking buck. This rack is not my favourite rack, but it's a bit of an odd looking rack, which I feel like for an albino is probably the best thing, because I would feel like they would have weird antlers anyway, because they're just a complete oddity. And it was really, really nice. He was only a silver, so had I messed it up with the iron sights, it wouldn't have been a complete tragedy. But I actually made a pretty perfect shot with the double lung and liver there. That's basically, if I'm ever shooting anything, if I can get double lung liver or heart, then that's what I'm really going for. But I was just so, so pleased to have one of these guys down and ready for the lodge. And now to the true start of this video. This is one of the first things I found in multiplayer last night on Vrahonga at the Gemsbok spot. A level 5 female Gemsbok. Now these things are incredibly rare, and it was a multiplayer I had just joined, and after being kicked from so many multiplayers already, I was not taking a single chance that I was going to lose that thing. So I did just take her with the scope because I wanted that thing dead. I did not want to lose her. I didn't want to get kicked and then not actually get her. But that, you very ever rarely see a Gemsbok female go over level 4, and she is a max weight and max score, which apparently the level 5 females almost always are. I've never seen one in the whole time I've played Call of the Wild and the whole time I've played for Honga and all of the Gemsbok I've looked over, I've never seen a level 5 female. And in fact, they are so rare that until recently I did not know they even existed. I thought that they stopped at level 4 for females. So this, I just could not believe how lucky I got. This is probably the rarest thing, alongside my albino lion on my Xbox account. This is probably the rarest thing I've ever shot in Call of the Wild, because I just didn't know that they existed until recently, and then one popped up, and I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Definitely one of the coolest things I've ever got in game, and max weight and max score, so can't ask for more perfect than that. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, thank you very, very much for watching.